So I genuinely really wanted to like Wolfman, especially as it's directed by Leigh Whannell, who did such a good job with The Invisible Man. But unfortunately, Wolfman is just such a lifeless body horror slow burn movie with a lifeless set and a lifeless set of characters, and I was just constantly looking at my watch just waiting for this movie to be over. I mean, Jennifer Garner usually is just such a captivating actress, and you can really feel everything that she is doing usually. But unfortunately, over here, even though all of the circumstances that this character finds herself in is absolutely tragic and absolutely shocking, it's just so difficult to connect with her. And then we have Christopher Abbott, who does a bit of a mediocre performance, in my opinion, over here, very similarly to how he did in Craven very recently. I mean, you can believe all of the craziness and all of the tragic things that happens to this character, but I just feel like his performance is so monotone that I just personally had a really difficult time connecting with him as well. And I think the main reason of that is because of the structure of this movie, because it feels like the first act of an origin story of a character just being stretched out across the entirety of this movie. I mean, they had some interesting aspects in this movie, for example, becoming ultimately like your father, and then having a daughter is the way to break this curse, as well as the way in which the camera moves between the sights and perspectives of the different characters, namely humanoids and becoming a wolfman. And even though they didn't go over the top with this specific mechanics in the same way that Zack Snyder did in Rebel Moon with all of the slow motion, I feel like over here it was a little bit underused. So it was really intriguing, but they could have definitely done more with it. And I just feel like the Dark Universe as a whole could have been so much better if they had gone down the original plan of creating an interconnected universe. And I know it's really easy to blame The Mummy, which I do agree is a bit of a bizarre movie, but it did do commercially really a lot better than all of the other subsequent Dark Universe movies have done. And the original plan for the Wolfman film was to have Ryan Gosling in the titular character role, and I do feel like he would have done a much better job than Christopher Abbott ultimately did do. And Ryan Gosling was also pitching ideas, and he has retained his executive producer credit in this movie. Another aspect that I do think was pretty decent in this movie is the fact that this character is ultimately losing his humanity, and you definitely are able to experience and see that, not only with this character, but also from his wife and daughter's perspective, just really tragic, like I said, seeing this character just lose everything that makes him human. And that hybrid between losing his humanity and becoming a full monster whilst living in the house with these full human characters. I think that was actually really, really good. But in terms of that limbo state, I feel like it was much better done in Warm Bodies, where Nicholas Hoult was playing a character that hasn't fully become a zombie yet, but has started to lose his humanity. And on that point, because he is in this limbo state, he hasn't got the full strength that a Wolfman does do. So seeing the proper fully fledged Wolfman against this hybrid semi-Wolfman was interesting. And what is really, really interesting is obviously the semi-version has got his wits about him. So not only is he able to warn his human family, he is also able to use his smarts in how he is ultimately going to beat this fully fledged Wolfman. I did like the reveal of ultimately who was the character that they are fighting from a Wolfman perspective. But I just feel like if the writing was just a lot better, this reveal would have just had so much more of an impact. I hope that this movie does shift gears of how Universal are planning out their Dark Universe, as apart from The Invisible Man, I feel like all of their movies just have not worked in terms of complete standalone movies from what is supposed to be an absolutely incredible group of characters. I'm sure that the next one will be Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which I feel like Russell Crowe played really, really well in the infamous Mummy movie with Tom Cruise. But I can't wait to see what they're going to be doing next. But as far as The Wolfman is concerned, I feel like it had some glimmers of hope, but ultimately as a movie it just did not work for me. And so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give The Wolfman a 3 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of this film? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.